falsehoods. Something we are all too familiar with in Honkai Star Rail. The single aspect of the story that has constantly reared its ugly head throughout the epic of Emporius. Whether it's Black Swan lying by misdirecting us on her true purpose for guiding us here, or Aglaya lying by omission leading to her staging a fake execution to test our sincerity, or Lygus, who through my analysis lies with every other sentence he utters. And I'm not joking, because I already didn't trust this guy from the very beginning. Just something about his voice just ticks me off. But speaking of lies, in the last video we exposed the biggest lie of Emporius in revealing the Nihility's ties to this land of memories. And in this video it is my goal to lay bare the falsehood spread by the absolute fraud that is Lygus, proving that the lie in his name isn't just a coincidence. Because this is the biggest fraud of Emporius revealed. Okay, so first off, let's look into what exactly Lygus is, because this is our first time seeing this robot species. Well, we know that he has communicated with Kefali in the past, and he has been alive for a very long time, which isn't surprising because he's an inorganic life form. He has also watched over Emporius for a very long time, and even boasted about his ability to sever Aglaya's golden threads. More on that later. He was apparently gazed at by Noose at one point or another, and he calls himself an Antikytherian, a species that we've never heard of before, but apparently they can perceive the world through souls and frequency? I don't really know about that. Also, I'm not exactly sure about how accurate that can be. More on that later as well. There's also been a very popular theory going around about how Lygus is possibly connected to the equilibrium, but his hands don't match, so he's asymmetrical. This world has absolutely nothing to do with balance, and Lygus really isn't trying to help that. So let's not even go there. So basically, that's all we know about Lygus. But what he isn't my main concern here. It's what he says. Because this guy is the most fraudulent, suspicious, annoying, dishonest character we have ever seen so far. Trust me, this guy would put a Pathstrider of the Enigmata to shame. Let me explain. You see, Lygus is a very sniveling and cowardly character. He is quick to flatter in the attempt to manipulate, and when this fails, he attempts to twist information to suit his agenda. And if that fails, he tries to intimidate. Keep that in mind as we go along, because this is put on full display with his interactions with Madame Herta. He first opens up with,
"Your visit, although not part of my calculations, is a pleasant surprise. It's a pity that the preparations are not yet in place to receive you with the hospitality that someone of your status deserves."
See how he just stuttered and hesitated through that entire thing? All while dodging Herta's question and refusing to identify himself the entire time, making the excuse that he isn't at liberty to do so. And while this cannot be confirmed as a lie per se, it is evidence supporting his refusal to provide straightforward answers and information. He then proceeds to spout facts about Herta as if he knows about her, as if these facts are not as plain as day. 1, of course she is accomplished. How else would she have gotten here all by herself? 2, of course she is in search of knowledge, because again, how else would she have gotten here if not by curiosity and the desire for knowledge? Either way, Lygus stating the obvious as if it isn't obvious aside, he outright tells Herta to leave, to which Herta replies basically, "I'm not going anywhere without answers, and you're my next target." And this is where the outright lying begins. And let me tell you, Lygus lays it on thick, because he then flexes that he has 178,244 logic chains that could convince Herta to leave. Then he filters it down to 3, and all 3 of them absolutely suck, and 2 of them contradict each other. The first being one of the biggest lies told in the story so far, because he outright states that apart from him, no one else can allow her entry to Emporius. And do I need to even explain how false this is? Every memo keeper has access to Emporius. Black Swan and what she recently confirmed to be a whole faction of memosnatchers have access to this world. It is literally said to be only seen through the Garden of Recollection's mirrors, and every memo keeper works for and in the Garden of Recollection. We, the Trailblazer, got to Emporius this exact way, bypassing Lygus entirely, and he knows full well we are here. He was present during the debate. So this is the first lie. No one else but him can help her enter? I don't think so, Lygus, because even the Nihility has ways of bypassing you. But let's continue, because Lygus isn't done, and this gets way worse. Because with this second quote-unquote chain of logic, he attempts to threaten Herta by saying that just like her, he has basked in the gaze of erudition, and if they were to face off, it would end in mutually assured destruction. And this is utterly ridiculous, and shows that he truly knows nothing about Herta at all. Remember when I said those facts that he was spouting earlier about her being inquisitive and accomplished was just common sense? Well, this proves my claim right. Also, it's very suspicious whether he can actually see and perceive souls or not, because we know already that basking in the gaze of an Aeon does not make a being an emanator. Otherwise, the Trailblazer would be a quadruple emanator, because through our journeys we have basked in the gaze of Nanook, Klepoth, Sheepei, and Fu Li by this time in the story, and we are still nowhere near as strong as the likes of Herta and Acheron, or even the pseudo-emanators like Aventurine and the Cornerstones. And they just have a disposable fraction of an emanator's power. I mean, by that logic, Fushan would be an emanator of the erudition. How much sense does that even make? Honestly, who is this guy trying to fool at this point? If he truly received the gaze of Nous, wouldn't he be in the Genius Society? The organization of people literally gazed at by Nous. Like, that's the only thing that connects any of these people. So, with all of this in mind, for one thing, Lygus has no clue what he's talking about and is clearly bluffing, because Herta, in her current state, has the capability at her disposal to disintegrate multiple solar systems worth of planets with a weapon called the Imaginary Implosion Pulse. This weapon is so dangerous that if fired off indiscriminately has destroyed 24 planets with a single blast. And Herta is the only person alive with the specs to make it, and that is considering her not making improvements to the design. This is canon and confirmed information, by the way. There is no possible way that Lygus is afraid of a Lord Ravager, but then bucks against Herta, someone who is confirmed to be Lord Ravager level. Lygus lies again. Despite this, Herta does comment on his safety protocols being comparable to Screwlum's. However, Screwy is not as powerful as an emanator. Even Screwlum, as unmatched in the realm of hacking as he is, has been defeated by Silverwolf at least once. It's Herta that Silverwolf has never beat. Again, all Genius Society members have been gazed at by Nous, but it's not that special in comparison to someone who is confirmed to have met the Aeons twice, one of them being Nous. Being gazed at is one thing, but Herta looked back. Very different. That said, his third logic chain explains that even if she does find a way through, which contradicts his first line of logic, by the way. Thought I wouldn't catch that, but I did. I thought the only way to Emporius was through him. Now all of a sudden there's a possibility that she finds a way through anyway. Which one is it, Lygus? Your chains of logic don't seem to be linked together very well. Anyway, he claims that she would realize the consequences of her actions and give up. And to this, Herta just laughs at him, and rightly so. You see, Herta doesn't know what giving up is. It's kinda her thing. She wears all these locks and keys because locks are the questions and keys are the answers. And to her, questions are the most important things in the universe, more so than answers. That's kinda why Nous chose her and why her weapon is a literal key for unlocking questions. Her ultimate line is literally,
"Curiosity is a dangerous thing, you know. Endless riddles, but the answer is nothing but a void."
So even if she can't find a way in, she would be content to sit here and try until the end of time, undeterred by the consequences. Also because she can't die of old age. And Lygus should know all of this, because he said earlier that she has a beautiful desire for knowledge. So either he's contradicting himself again, or he is vastly underestimating how inhumanly stubborn Herta is after claiming to know all about her and claiming that he can see souls. So once again, the robot lies. Also, you think Herta would care about the consequences of her actions? This is the woman who got her, Ron May, and Screwlum, and us all attacked by Polka Kakamon, the psychopath genius society murderer that killed Rupert 1, by the way. And you know how she responded? Hey Polka, you want to join the Simulated Universe project? This woman doesn't care. Polka got so sick of her that she infiltrated the space station to carve on her walls,
Look, stop asking. If I see you again, it's because I'm killing you.
and Herta still doesn't care. This is the person Lygus is dealing with, and he thinks that 3 logic chains is enough to get her to leave. Let that sink in. I mean, at this point, it's either Lygus is lying this whole time or he's just stupid. Alright, so we have established that Lycurgus has told falsehood on top of falsehood. But what of that feat of being able to sever Aglaya's golden threads? Well, that could be one of 2 things. The simple answer being that he can't, and he was just overestimating himself, again, as we've seen him do. But the second answer is much more fascinating and fun, because the golden threads are made up of truth, and can filter truthful information and deliver it to Aglaya. Her golden threads are so good that they can filter truth from lies even if the truth is subjective. Remember, when she asks us about the Stellaron, she doesn't count it against us even if we give her a threat or tell her that we aren't willing, because she can tell that we aren't really sure what it even does. So not only does this explain why Lygus hates Aglaya, but it also proves something even greater, because the enemy of truth is falsehood, and what else would be able to corrupt truth than lies? So if he can in fact sever the golden threads, it's because he wields the power of the Enigmata. Doesn't that make sense? The Enigmata hates the erudition just like the hunt hates the abundance. One aims to answer questions and the other aims to create them. The Enigmata by nature despises the certainty the erudition stands for and will go to great lengths to nurture doubt. So not only can they lie as naturally as they breathe, but they also do it to spit in the face of the erudition, which explains exactly why he stands in Herta's way and not ours. This is also why he sides with the Council of Elders, because their entire goal was to promote uncertainty in the flame chase journey. And this is also why he went so far out of his way to help Anaxa, because he's a blasphemer. His goal was to sow the seeds of suspicion with the soul of a titan. Everything Lygus has done so far has been to damage all sense of certainty and open endless possibilities. The exact motive of the Enigmata. And as someone who deals with and specializes in knowledge, why not disguise yourself as a follower of the erudition? Wouldn't this complicate things further? I think it would. And this explains every single lie Lygus has told. And circling back to Aglaya real quick, he hates how certain she is, because Aglaya is certain in the flame chase journey. She is certain in the Chrysosairs. She is certain in Finon. She is certain in Kephales's prophecy, and she is certain in her golden threads, and Lygus can't stand it. So in my opinion, he is an Enigmata follower, because this is the biggest fraud in Emporius revealed. I knew Lygus was suspicious. He can't fool me. I can see through him better than I can see through that hole in his chest, because he doesn't have a heart, and that's why he can lie. Also, you guys had to know that I wasn't just gonna look into his many contradictions without at least throwing at least a theory or 2 in there. To be honest, I don't know if he was even gazed at by Noose or not, because if he was, he'd be in the Genie Society. We literally have a list of them. There are some empty spots, but I feel like he would have just said what number he was. He wouldn't need to jump through so many hoops if he was a real genius. Also, the geniuses speak to each other on equal footing anyway. You wouldn't catch Ron May glazing Herta like this. Just felt off to me from the jump. But what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace, y'all.